everybody, and it is just me today for your weekly Folding Tales podcast. Today I'm doing a book review, and this is a book review for a book entitled Palliative Touch, a Massage for People at the End of Life. Now, I have actually mentioned this book in a previous episode. I cannot for the life of me remember which episode that was in, but I definitely mentioned it in the podcast before. So this book is written or authored by Cynthia Heep Spence, and it has forwards by Gail McDonald and Madeline Kirchhoff. And so just a little bit about those people. Cynthia Heep Spence has a master's degree in public health from the University of North Carolina. She has been a Peace Corps volunteer in Guatemala. She is a massage therapist that does specialize in palliative care and has been a massage therapist since 1999. She works in Dallas in the US, I believe. And she has also created and is teaching a course called Clinical Skills for End of Life Massage, which is a nationally certified course in the US. Cynthia, also known as Cindy, is very well known for her skills, clinical skills around end of life care and palliative care. And honestly, this book is just amazing. If you have heard of Gail McDonald, you probably have. You've probably been like, I know that name. She has been a massage therapist since 1989, teaches massage therapy, and is also the author of two books: Medicine Hands, Massage Therapy for People with Cancer, and Massage for the Hospital Patient and Medically Frail Client. Madeline Kirchhoff is a former nurse who is passionate about bridging medicine and complementary therapies. She is a renowned expert in clinical aromatherapy, aromacare, and using aromatherapy at end-of-life care, for dementia care, for patient management, for pain management, during oncology treatment, and during palliative care. She has actually founded an institute called Kikozo. It's the Knowledge Institute for Integrative and Complementary Nursing Care in 2010. She's based in the Netherlands, so my apologies if I pronounced Kikozo wrong. She has three books published, including one called Clinical Aromacare, Aromatherapy in Healthcare and Practice, which was published in 2023. I actually already, when I picked up this book initially, I already had heard of Madeline Kirchhoff because I know her through the aromatherapy field. She's very, very well known for her clinical aromatherapy, particularly in Europe, and is a wonderful aromatherapy practitioner and is well known for working over in Europe and teaching other folks how to work, how to integrate aromatherapy into their practice for folks with dementia, for pain management, palliative care, all those sorts of things. So I want to actually start out by saying that this book is absolutely wonderful. It is so easy to read. It is filled with color and life, even though it's actually about end of life. It's beautifully presented. It has short chapters, lots of little paragraphs, lots of little tidbits, little tips, and little stories, pictures of clients, of people's patients and their stories, and their pictures are there to give a face to their stories. You can really see the humanity and empathy in this book the moment that you open it. It's a really, really beautiful, lovely book. If you, as a therapist, want to work with clients at end of life or clients who are going through an oncology diagnosis and subsequent treatment, you want to work with clients in palliative care or in a hospice, then this book is really for you. It gives you a beautiful and thorough understanding of just about everything that you could possibly want to know to do with end of life care and massage therapy. So the book is actually broken up into three sections. Each of the three sections has a title. The first one is Solid Ground. The second one is Diving Deeper, and the third one is An Expanded View. Section one gives you a sort of an overall understanding of what end of life care is. It takes you through a lot of the basics. It gives you insight on looking after yourself as the therapist, both emotionally and physically. It has a chapter from the absolutely lovely Ronna Moore, who we've interviewed previously on the podcast and is a deeply compassionate individual. Chapter 5 in section 1 talks about the different stages of dying. And for many of us, we don't really have very much or even anything to do with death. In a lot of culture, it's just not something that we do. Even if somebody in our family passes away, we might not be there when they pass, and we might not be the one that nurses them as they become more and more frail and reach their end. So, chapter 5 gives a really great insight into what is actually expected as this process happens. It's something that we all go through, but as I said, we don't always know what that process is. So, chapter 5 was actually really insightful, I thought. Section 2 goes a little bit more in depth into different conditions that people may have and the symptoms that we actually may encounter if we are massaging through palliative care and end of life care. And some of those topics that they talk about are adapting the massages for different conditions and scenarios, the common conditions that you might encounter, like edema, can't even say the word, edema, swelling, nausea, fatigue, all those different sorts of things that you might see in your patient as they get closer to end of life. It also talks about managing these conditions and how to work around devices like ports and also things like amputations. There is actually also a short list of common medications in this section and a list of resources at the end of the chapter. And I just want to actually tell you as well, at the end of every single chapter, there is a short list of reference materials for further reading in every chapter. This book is not overwhelming, but it gives you so much information. Section 3 covers therapies that complement massage. And so we're talking about things like aromatherapy, like music, perhaps energy work, animal therapy, those sorts of things. So something that someone that is going through the process of being in palliative care or going into that end of life stage might want, as well as some gentle massage therapy. And chapter 11 in particular in section 3 talks about providing inclusive care. And it mentions compassion, empathy, respect for culture, respect for different ages, and respect and compassion for our differences. It's actually a really touching chapter that highlights how similar we actually are despite all of our differences as human beings. We all want respect, we all want compassion, we all want to be seen and validated. And that means even in death. And it's actually a really beautiful and touching chapter. Section 3 also has an appendix, which has an example of a patient assessment form, and it also has a list of resources for practitioners. And once again, I really want to emphasize how easy this book is to read. You can open up to anything, any page really, and just find a little story about a person. You can find the information that you want easily. There's an index at the back. There's just so much information in this book, but it is not overwhelming. It is not a hard read. It is designed to be very easy to read from the presentation as well as the writing. So please don't think that I'm telling you it has all of this information. It's going to be so hard to read. It is actually really easy to read, and you can just flick through it if you want. You don't have to read it from start to finish. You can sort of read a chapter here and a chapter there, or read a small section here and then go on and read the whole chapter later. There's many patient stories, including a whole bunch from the author, as well as some from other folks that the author knows. There's photographs accompanying a lot of these stories. There's beautiful photos in it of people at different stages of end of life. There's stories in it that will make you cry, and other stories will just make you appreciate life just that little bit more, and hopefully make you appreciate being alive as well. Not a single one of us gets out of life without dying at the end. It's something we all go through. And I have to say, I actually really thoroughly enjoyed reading this book, and definitely have learned a lot from it, even though a lot of my patients are clients, I would say. I don't see clients at end of life. I do some aged care work, but I don't generally see anyone who is in hospice or in that real end of life stage. But it's just really such a beautiful book. And for anyone that is working with the elderly, working with anyone that might potentially be going into hospice, going into palliative care, anyone who is getting oncology treatment, no matter their age, I would highly recommend this book for anyone who has clients or patients in that sort of area, part of that cohort. It's just such a beautiful book, and I'm so glad that I bought it and have been able to read through it. It's really such a privilege to work with folks in that stage, and even though I don't specifically do that, I'm just so glad that I have the chance to see people from all walks of life. The book was actually published only in 2023 and is very widely available on all the typical websites, Amazon and Booktopia, if you're in Australia, all that sort of thing, for around $70. So pricing does fluctuate a little bit, but at the moment it's around about $70. Thank you so much for listening to my book review. I hope you have learned a little bit about this wonderful book. It's called Palliative Touch, Massage for People at the End of Life by Cynthia Heep Spence. And if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will see you again next week on the Folding Towers podcast. Thank you for listening.